Welcome in. It's the PAWSitively Petland Show, AM 800 KXIC, Iowa City. I'm Jay Capron. Hope you're hanging in there. Beautiful weekend forecast. If you're listening in on Sunday, hope you've been enjoying this weekend. A little taste of spring. We record the show on Thursdays, and looking forward to the weekend as I record this. I'm sure at that point of the weekend, I'll be enjoying what nature has to offer this weekend. And you can get dogs out. I'm sure there's going to be some muddy paws this weekend as people get out and get their dogs out and the snow melts and you have muddy paws. And I'm sure that's something that people are going to have to address. And I know that at Petland, you've got some things that you can do to help that out, right?
Yeah. Oh, we have these. The best way to describe them is, the balloon boots. And people buy them throughout the entire year. It was something that I was thinking, it was a nice way. It's an easy thing to get on the dog's paws. It is very non-intrusive to the dog. They don't go through that really high-steppy, like, what the nut is on my paw? They kind of get used to it very quickly. And then, but the manufacturers said, you have to keep those in your store year-round. You will sell them year-round. And I was like, okay, I'll make sure I do that, kind of thing. And that's exactly it. They just kind of always go. There's a crowd that has found them out and loves them, and then there's always more that are interested in them. So.
Okay. All right. So that's one way you can help out. We're going to talk about the amazing pet story of the week. We're going to have our breed of the week, which is the Newfoundland. And we'll talk about are you going to do the cat litter today?
We're going to talk about cat litter, an experience I had with cat litter, and then breeder trip that I was just on this last week and just was blown away and wanted to share that experience with you. And then we're going to talk about California Naturals. It's a dog food that we're bringing into the store that we're, again, excited about because it's a nice high quality product. And we'll review that to find out, is that the right food for your dog?
All right. And if you might recall, last week we were talking about trying to get Officer Falcon on with the K9 unit, and the K9 unit ties into our amazing pet story. So let's do it right now.
It's time for the amazing pet story of the week.
And today, for the story,
no comment on that garb that he was wearing. Are you kidding me?
He came in and out so fast I didn't see him. What's he wearing?
I think it was a speed suit of some kind. I don't even know what. He was like in and out. Like
I think he's cross country skiing. He's
a little late for that one.
Yeah, a little bit. All right. I like when we can stay in the state of Iowa, and that's what we're doing today. The Winneshiek County Sheriff's Office has a new deputy, a K9 deputy, an 18-month-old Belgian Malinois, which is specializing in training and locating. And he was born in the Slovak Republic and has been preparing for service. And what happened is last November, the county's K9 deputy Ricky was diagnosed with a brain tumor and passed away just 1 week later. After reading the story in the Waterloo Courier, Betty McCoy of Waterloo gave an unsolicited donation to cover the cost of purchasing a brand new dog, which is not cheap to get a K9 dog that is trained, so it's a steep cost. But she was so touched that she wanted to buy this dog. She later passed away, and they have named the new dog McCoy in her name because her name was Betty McCoy. So McCoy is the newest member of the Winneshiek County Sheriff's Office, and he looks like he's going to be ready to do some action soon. He's still pretty little at 18 months old, but he is ready to join the force. And I thought we'd share that story for the amazing pet story of the week.
That is very nice.
I like it. And that looks like he's going to be a bigger dog than he is right now in the photo there. Belgian Malinois are big dogs, right? They're K9, their size.
Yeah,
like German Shepherd.
I think
size.
Most people would look at him and say it's a German Shepherd. Just mistake it for that. There's definitely the interrelationship there, but there's a lot of work that goes into not only the breeding of those dogs, but the training of those dogs. How the police officer actually picks out the dog. It's a wonderful experience where the police officer goes to the kennel. There's one in Indiana that I know they use. And there's a lot of available dogs and they get scooped up very quickly, but you get to pick from a variety of dogs, and they might be all Malinois, but we know that they all, dogs have different personalities, and that's what the officer is trying to figure out. They work with the officer to find that right one. And then they start the the training with both of them, and it's a little longer of a process. This is not simple stuff, is what it ends up being. Then when the officer, and it's a big event when they get it and they come, back to the community with it. Now weekly, those two are on training sessions that our whole both counties, Johnson and Lynn County, get together, and I think even surrounding counties weekly. They go through retraining, and this is, again, not just getting together and having the dogs meet. This is training, and that's why our canine unit is so effective in what they do, because of the constant training. I was just going along the highway this last week, and there was that tanker that ran off the road. They had the canine unit out there, and I can't wait to ask the officer when they're in our store again, what were you even looking for? Was it, drugs and stuff, to see if there was any issue out there? They're out there protecting us, making sure that, people are doing the right thing.
They're amazing. And it's a lot of work, no doubt about it. So we're happy to feature, hopefully, Officer Falcon here at a later date.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be rescheduled, and we'll talk more about that. And you'll get a firsthand look at what it's like to have a canine unit. So we're going to do that coming up here on the show. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to continue on with the show. We're going to talk about the Newfoundland. We're going to talk about the cat litter, the amazing cat litter, and a story Ron has to share about that. And then, what is it called? California Dreamin'? What's the name of the stuff?
California Naturals.
California Naturals. Dog food will feature. We'll be back with more after this. AM 800 KXIC. Visit our podcast page at KXIC.com to listen to this show and my morning show, or a lot of the other great shows on KXIC anytime you'd like. AM 800 KXIC morning host Jay Capron. Thanks to my guests this morning. We had the North Liberty Community Pantry on with Sean Pearl and Tina Dubois. Plus, we featured the Compeer program with Marga Lee Warner and Deb Moore. Tomorrow on the show, we'll talk to Iowa City Councilor Kingsley Botchway and Pete Damiano with the Veterans Fundraiser. We're also looking for bands and artists from Delaware with Jay's Jukebox Friday, going through the 50 states. We're on Delaware tomorrow. It's the Jay Capron Morning Show, 6 to 9, Monday through Friday on KXIC. Welcome back. It's the PAWSitively Petland Show, AM 800 KXIC, Iowa City. Jay Capron here with Ron Salzard from Petland of Iowa City, talking pets. That's what we do here on the show. It's lots of fun. And coming up here, we're going to talk about the Newfoundland and a special cat litter. Talk about California Natural. That's what we're talking about here on the show. And you're always welcome to send in a question if you have one. We haven't asked for questions for a long time. News@KXIC.com, the word news at KXIC.com. If you have an issue with your pet, we'd love to hear from you. You could do that and be involved. The show airs 9 o'clock Sunday mornings and on our podcast page at KXIC.com. And Ron, the Newfoundland, it's going to be a anticlimactic question because it's from Newfoundland.
Yes. So where else do you think it's from? I mean, there's some the origins of the Newfoundland. They do have the Newfoundland pegged, but they do go into a little bit more history because they want to go and say, well, what did it comprise of? And the Great Pyrenees, they feel that there's some Great Pyrenees in there, and a French hound, which I'm not sure a French hound is really in existence anymore, but it's something that we know of. What do you think that the Newfoundland was bred for?
Hunting?
Kind of a special hunting, fishing, and specifically pulling the nets.
Huh?
Isn't that just interesting?
Yeah, that is interesting.
That's a nice twist. Heavy laborer as far as a dog goes. So and also like pulling wood out of the forest. That's a big, strong dog.
Yeah.
And we have one in our neighborhood, and it's hilarious when it walks around because it looks like the owner is walking a bear. It's like there's a bear, over there. And so it is a massive breed, a lot of hair. There is no shying away from the shed on this dog. Heavy seasonal shedding. So,
holy cow, they do look like bears.
So you cannot get this dog thinking that it's going to be low in the shedding aspects of things. But what is incredible about this massively large dog is that the disposition is right in line with a family. They are such a gentle dog. And so
there's some giant ones too I've seen that get absolutely humongous. I don't think they always get this big. Look at that.
That's a fake.
That's got
Jay's looking on the internet. Jay, get off that internet.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
That one was fake.
No, he's looking at those. You know how they make those dogs look like they're so.
But this one, that's a bear. That's actually a bear.
No, that might be a Newfoundland.
No,
hey,
people
can't relate to what you're looking at right now. You're on the internet.
That's true. But if you look up Newfoundland, that's more of an accurate photo.
Yeah, that's actually a cut. There's a haircut on that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It looks like a furry mess. That's
on the front end. That's on the back end of that one is a haircut. So what he's looking at is the Newfoundland, and yes, it is a large one. In the store right now, we have the black or the gray color, and it is a cool environment dog that they like cooler temperatures and things like that. So if you do not trim this dog down in the summer months, it's going to want to be in the air-conditioned house. So that is something you want to consider. I do know some Newfoundland owners and some other large breed owners that have a lot, they're Great Pyrenees kind of a dog, and they do shave them down in the summer months. And I know there's some advocates that say not to, but if a dog was raised to be in a cool environment, yes, the fur controls the temperature of the dog in that environment. But when you get into a warmer environment, I'm hearing more and more veterinarians even advocate you need to cut the hair off that. What I saw just right in front of me, the dog, it was a Great Pyrenees in this case, had its full coat, was very slow and not, it didn't want to do anything in the heat of the summer. They then had it groomed, cut down. When I saw the dog the next time, it was jumping like a puppy all over the place in the heat. And so there was a big difference, and it seems like it definitely helps.
Would you like to wear a wool coat in the summertime?
Don't.
Yeah.
Right.
So
some other things. So great family dog. Know that it's a lot of shedding. I get a kick out of some of these rating places. They still say apartment is okay. I don't know. This is a dog that has a lot of energy. While it might be calm in your house and stuff like that, it needs to work that stuff off. And so I guess not in your house is usually the way it's going to happen. It's going to be outside throwing the ball around. And so I think that's where they're coming from on it. 26 to 28 inches at the shoulder, 100 to 150 pounds on average. These are all averages. You can have one that might go a little larger and one that go a little smaller. But daily exercise is definitely part of your routine if you get a Newfoundland. So that is the breed of the week, something different that we haven't had in our store for a while, and so it's fun to have that breed in there.
Yeah, it's nice to feature a new breed here too. That I don't know. It's at least been a long time since we've done it because I don't remember featuring that one. So that's cool. Learned about the Newfoundland today. That was the breed of the week. And now we move on to the next topic, the cat litter.
So the cat litter, I had an experience this last week. I personally I know it's funny. We own the store, and Wendy and I ran out of our cat litter, and it needed to be changed. It was time, and so I went, oh, forgot to bring that home today, honey. Sorry. And she goes, well, it needs to get changed. And so I looked, and hey, I had this corn cob, it's those bio, type products that you can flush down the toilet, and touted as being great on removing smells and all that kind of stuff. So I go, oh, well, you know what? Just use this up anyways. I don't have another use for it. It was something that we tried a long time ago. Totally forgot it was even in the cabinet. Put it in there. About 4 days later, Wendy and I were out, and I think we were buying me some pants because I'm one of those dad's husbands that doesn't go out shopping much and needed some pants. And we get a text from our son. What died in the laundry room? And I laughed because I knew exactly, because as I was walking out, I'm like, oh, golly, I got to get the litter. I thought I had a little bit of a cushion time to get it, and I still had not gotten it. And it was so smelly compared to Power Mix, what we have in our store, that absorbs all of the urine, but also the smells. We got so used to smelling nothing at all, to the point of when you smell anything, it's like, oh, wow. What I talk about with cat litter is it's this Power Mix that we have in it. I start off the conversations with our customers with, when did it become okay to bring dirt, that's clay litters, into our house, let our cat urinate in it, defecate in it, and walk around our house after they were strolling through the thing? Isn't that just gross? I'm all over the house, and by the way, it's got all this other stuff going on in it as well. And it's one of those things that if you sit back and look at what we're doing, you go, oh, gosh, I was always just buying it because it was quote unquote cheap, but it is that nasty and that poor performing. What we have in our store is called Power Mix. It is based on sand, silica, and it absorbs all the urine. You don't even have to scoop. You can't. The urine clumps. It absorbs it. There's no liquid sloshing around in the litter box. It's all bound up into this silica. And then when the cat poops, it dehydrates it within about 20 minutes. The smell of poop is gone. So I will admit that when our cat poops in the litter box, for about 10-20 minutes, you're like, ooh, okay, put the fan on, do something, but then within 10-20 minutes, gone. You don't even smell it anymore because it dehydrates it so quickly. And that is how the smell emanates out and gets to our noses. This product is that great in that you just don't smell things, and it's that much of an improvement over clay. You don't have to scoop the urine clumps, so there's less maintenance as a result. Whatever frequency you were getting that poop out, you do the same amount there. I'm about every 3 to 5 days. I go in there and get the poop out, just to keep it clean for the cat. And then for a typical cat, 13 pounds or so, one small bag of this will last a month. It's economical, is what I'm trying to say there, and you're not having to go in there every day now and scoop out the mud and then put more mud back in there. This is just every 3 to 5 days get the poop out, and then once a month you take the whole thing, throw it out, and then put the next group in there. So it is that wow of a litter, and you got to try it. It is our highest selling litter in our store. We sell more of that than all the other litter combined. It is that big of an effect. I know we sell more of this litter than even the big box stores sell of all of their litter. It's that big of a seller in our store and that big of an impact for our customers. So come in and try. It's called Power Mix. It's in a purple bag on the shelf. You will love this stuff hugely. It's a no-brainer.
It's a purple bag.
in a purple bag.
All right.
All on the top shelf, you'll see it. We got the most of that of any litter.
Just ask them for it. That's you don't want your house smelling like cat poop or pee. So that's a great way to do that. Power Mix, check it out. And the top entry box, get that too. That's
Yeah, we can talk about that on another day. We are packed with the show here, and so I'm like bubbling to get to the next topic.
Sure, let's go for it.
Hey, Wendy and I published a letter to the editor, and thank you, Gazette, for posting it. We appreciate what you did. A letter to the editor about the hate and anger that is displayed towards breeders. It is just over the top. It is when we're out and I'm working with the breeders on a weekly basis, you would not believe the stories that they tell me of how cruel, rude, just vicious people are to them. And whether it be through emails or letters or whatever, it just is over the top. And I just was driven to write something out there to say, please, community, help this incredible resource that we have in our state called a breeder, and support them. And now let's take this, a little step further. In that, well, I heard that we've got puppy mills in our state, and we can't have that. I'm with you. Puppy mills are unacceptable, and we should never have that in our state, and we need to drive that out. But there's different ways that you can do it. Hate and anger. Hey, when's the last time somebody got all over you, got all vicious and angry, and you changed your behavior? That's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody out there in that. That's not the way you change behavior. You get out there, and that's what Wendy and I do, and our store does. We get out there, we work with them, and we're encouraging, we're showing them better examples, better practices, and all that. We are very, very engaged with the breeders that we work with at Petland. Now, we had some more experiences over the weeks and even this week. A lot of us are saying, well, we need tougher laws on those breeders. You know what? I think there are some tweaks that we need to make to the laws. But remember that the laws that we set for anything is a low bar, and it will always be a low bar. And there was an analogy that Jay and I were talking about, and that is guardrails on the highway. Those guardrails are out there not for you to bump into them and get you back on the road. That's failure when that happens. That's a law. That's like a law. The guardrail is a law. It's something that is so low, you don't want to even touch that thing. You want to be so far above it. And so when you're driving down the road, your goal is not to use the guardrail to stay in the lane. It's to use your own ability and what you do and drive that car safely, watching the cars ahead of you and behind you and not get distracted by all the distractions and all that. It's to drive that car down the road safely, not to use the guardrails. Well, the same thing occurs with the breeders. The goal is to be so far above, have that bar so high that we're not even thinking of the law. We've abided by the law so easily that it's not even the concern. We're so far ahead of the law that we're so proud of what we do. Just like when we're driving the car, if you get a little squirrely on the road, you look around and go, oh, somebody might have seen me, kind of thing. That's not what you want. And that's not what the breeder wants either. So now another experience that I had, and in this case, our general manager, Coy, was out with me. And I said, hey, come along. We're going to do a breeder trip. I got invited out and want to see what they're doing, and really didn't have any, exceptional expectations. I just said it's a breeder trip, and it's important for us to see this stuff, and they want to see if we'll work with them and all that. And so we get out there, and it was a long drive. It was in the state of Iowa here, and it was there was an Amish community that we were in, but it was also non-Amish, so it was both ways there. And we go to the first kennel, and we drive up, and I said to Coy, I go, this is something different. And we walk in. This place is built and designed better than my kitchen, and we have a nice kitchen. And I was like, holy cow, this has taken it to a whole nother level. And the breeder was like saying, he goes, Ron, we've listened to you. We wanted to show you what we've been working on and what we're doing. This place was phenomenal. And I'll have some pictures posted on our Facebook, Petland, Iowa City Facebook. You can see what I'm talking about. And it's just over the top as far as quality goes. And I was so impressed and so excited about what I saw, because all of what Wendy and I in the store does is advocate for better, better, better. Let's not even worry about those laws. Just let that take care of itself. Let's put that bar so high that we're flying high and doing great. This did exactly that. It was I can't wait to bring other breeders to these breeders, this community that really has stepped up up to the plate and done a really phenomenal job. That wasn't even the end of the experience. What really blew me away was that evening, we were invited to give a talk at a breeder meeting. And now in this case, it was two large Amish communities, and there were over 100 families present. I was blown away with what they said, in that the first speaker got up and talked about how they need to be setting the bar for the rest of the state. And I went, well, I definitely saw all through the day that you're doing exactly that. Holy cow. But then he went into just great detail about care of animals. We want the Amish to not be known as abusers of animals, and all the labor that they put those animals through. They want to be known as the biggest advocates for animals. We all know that they follow the Bible. The Bible says that that God gave dominion over animals to the people, and that you better take care of my creation. Whether you're a Christian, you believe in any faith at all, just listen to what they are told and what they believe in. You can believe in it or not, but this is what the premise that they are coming from. And the speaker said, we have failed this country so far, and we are going to change that. And you saw what we did today so far. And we want to not only spread this from our community, our Amish community, but out to the entire state. The speaker was actually from Indiana. They have raised the bar in Indiana. They actually have gotten a self-inspection program that is a volunteer program, but most every breeder, USDA and beyond, are members of this in the state of Indiana. And he was advocating for us to do that in Iowa. And we saw and heard the results. It's not a comfortable inspection, he said. He goes, in fact, when I had my first inspection, I got hurt very badly because they talked about things that I felt very strong about, but they said I needed to change. And he goes, I was a little apprehensive about it, but he goes, you know what? I bought into this. I'm going forward. And he is now advocating for all the benefits he's seeing as a result of having these self-inspections. They call them a KMA in Indiana. And I don't know what they're going to call it here in Iowa. What I experienced, though, I then gave a presentation, and if you ever you can hear me, I talk. And so an hour later, after I was finished talking, and it was talking about what Wendy and I and our store does in the field, they then said, okay, well, we need to take a vote on whether we want to have this self-inspection program. And I've been in a lot of business meetings, and formality is first you got to vote to accept it, kind of thing. Where are we going to do it? They bypassed. They didn't even talk whether that was an option or not. Over 100 families in this really big room where we all were sitting in said it wasn't even a question of whether they were going to adopt it. It was who's going to be in charge of it and really crack the whip. And so they took a vote at that point to nominate and to elect whoever was going to be the leader within their community and the next community over. So 2 counties. Coy and I witnessed history for the state of Iowa this was when were we out there? On Tuesday. And it was such an honor to be in this meeting and I hope you're hearing the passion that I'm talking about, and I can't wait to share this even more and more.
Yeah,
But
I can hear it in your voice. And I know we've talked about this in the past, but I think it's important to point out that statistic when people, because I know people, when I talk about Petland being on the radio, there's times I have people stick their nose up. And I've been working with you for about 5 years now, and I've learned about the industry a lot more than I ever knew and never thought I would know more about. But one of the things I think is important to realize for people who are thinking about, puppy mills and how horrible that is, and associating that with pet stores, specifically, Petland here in Iowa City, they have to be checked by so many different people. Plus, Ron himself has high standards, and the amount of pets that are sold by pet stores and USDA breeders is what, 4%?
4% in the United States.
And I think that says a lot.
If you have a dog, there's all sorts of different ways of getting that, that dog. You can get them from the shelter. You can get them from a backyard breeder. Hey, I had an oops kind of a thing. You can get them from a lot of different sources. When you break it out, it's actually amazing on how our country gets dogs kind of a thing. A very large portion now, because of the internet, are purchasing them on the internet. And here, our pet stores, these are all stores across the country, all pet stores beyond Petland, account for 4% of all the dogs people have.
Think about that. That's just 4%. Just 4%. And that 4% has to follow the guidelines. And as you said, the bar could be set low. But at the very least, you guys have to follow those guidelines. A lot of you guys take more pride in it than that. But the other ones are unregulated. So you're talking about like the Wild West of breeding pets, being 96% of breeders that don't have the regulations. And that's where the issues are at. That's where the puppy mills are at. And so I think it's just important to, not necessarily just think because it's a pet store, you guys are getting your puppies from puppy mills. Because I know that's what you'll get. You'll
right.
Get feedback.
And people
on that.
question that, and then we have a story to tell, and we tell it in our store. And if you haven't heard it, it's a wonderful experience coming into our store. If you don't get a puppy from us, I'm okay with that. We might not be the right place. I have one of my dogs is from the shelter. I got it before it even got to the shelter, kind of a thing. And then one of my dogs is from our store specifically. And but what I ask you to do is come in and hear our story and what we do. And you've heard a little bit of it today on what Wendy and I and our store does for the state of Iowa in advocating for better standards. We're the grassroots people. We're out there working with the breeders. Are we complacent where we're at? Absolutely not. We're out there advocating for better. I can't wait right now. I am contacting my other breeders and saying, I got to bring you to some breeders right now to show you where you want to go to. And here are the benefits of doing it, kind of thing. We already see the benefits. And so it's so exciting to have this, and right now have just a wonderful model of a group of breeders that we're working with, and that I can show the rest of the breeders this. So that's the grassroots efforts that we do. And when I talk with the politicians, the senators, and the representatives that I love that they represent us. That's such a difficult position that they have for so low of a wage. I just am in admiration that they did that and they're doing that. My message to them is what about all these other breeders, most of where people get their dogs from? I'm not talking about shelters at this point. Shelters do have some regulations on them and all that kind of thing. But it's those people that are on the internet selling their dogs. No regulations whatsoever. Nobody's watching them. There's no recourse for you when you purchase on that. There's no guardrails that they have to follow or of any kind. And so that's a scary environment. And I would caution you heavily when that happens. If you're considering something on the internet, to shy away from it, because there is a lot of bad things happening out there. That's where attention is needed by our government to put regulations in place, get them passed, get them enforced, and get that under control, because there is a large group of our population that are getting them from them. And I think ignorance plays a part in that. Oh, I didn't know this and all that. I get it. There's a lot of ignorance out there on a lot of different topics, and I think this is just one of them.
That's Ron Solzer with Petland of Iowa City. I'm Jay Cape, and we are almost out of time, Ron, but I know you want to feature California Natural. So
all right, and we don't have it in the store quite yet, but we're bringing it in here really quickly. It's a new brand that is not new to the United States. It's been around for a while, but we're bringing it new into our store, and I'm excited about it because it offers some unique things for our customers, and I think you guys are going to get a kick out of it. Only 4 to 7 key ingredients. When was the last time you flipped that bag over, looked at the ingredients, and went, wow, there's a lot of stuff in this bag? Kind of a thing. I don't even know how to pronounce that one. So 4 to 7 key ingredients in this one. I like that aspect about it. Designed for pets with food sensitivities. So again, they're taking a lot of that stuff that maybe it is sensitive to your dog out of it so that it's going to be more agreeable to your dog. And then proteins that are more digestible. And you hear us talk about that a lot here, about the dog foods that we have in our store. Went to Dog Food Advisor. They're giving it right now a 3.5-star review. I do know one of the reasons why we're bringing it into the store is because they're going through they're updating all formulas and all that kind of stuff. So even though 3.5 stars is actually a really good rating on a dog food, I expect that to go up even higher. They're going to have the really good ingredients that you can feel confident in with your dog and cat, and so know that you're feeding them good nutrition, as well as having all the supplements that we know helps our dogs and cats. I'm starting to see omega-3s and fatty acids on the cheaper foods. Know that if they put it at a level that actually benefited the dog or cat, they couldn't charge you that low price. These are the expensive ingredients, and you have to have them up to levels that actually benefit your dog and cat. California Naturals is one of those products that does exactly that.
That's Ron Salzer with Petland of Iowa City. I'm Jay Capron, and we are out of time. We got to wrap up the show. Thanks to Ron. Stop by their place, Lower Muscatine. Check out Petland of Iowa City. Check out our podcast page at kxic.com. Have yourself a wonderful day. Bye.